Hello everyone and welcome to English Pod. My name is Marco.
My name is Catherine, and today we have an elementary level lesson for you. This is about fixing things.
That's right. So sometimes in our office or in our house, some small things may break, like maybe the door or the air conditioning. So in this case, we need to call a special guy to come and fix it.
So let's listen to today's dialogue, and we'll be back in a moment to talk about who this guy is.
The air conditioning is not working. We need to call a handyman before we start to fry in here.
Dan is on top of that. I think they are also getting the handyman to fix the bathroom toilet that keeps clogging up.
That would be convenient. They might as well ask him to fix the electrical wiring. The circuit breakers keep going out all the time. It's really annoying.
Yeah, you're right. This office is falling apart. Frank told me the other day that the gutters outside were clogged, and that's why the parking lot was flooded.
I know. I was in ankle-deep water trying to get to my car that day. The handyman definitely has his work cut out for him.
All right, we're back. So now let's take a look at some of those keywords and phrases on Language Takeaway.
Language takeaway.
Our first word today is the name of this job. The person is called a handyman.
Okay, so that's a profession. You are a handyman. Now, what exactly does a handyman do?
Well, a handyman fixes things. He is usually a generalist. You know, he fixes things all over the house, not just the bathroom or the kitchen. So he can just fix things that are a little bit broken. But if, for example, your car needs a new radiator or it needs a new important part, maybe you would take the car to someone who's more experienced with cars. But in the case of a handyman, if anything's broken, he can generally fix it.
Okay, so as Catherine explained, basically a handyman just does any type or many types of general work of things that may be broken around the house or the office.
We had a couple examples of these in today's dialogue, didn't we? What was that first one? Kind of gross.
Yeah, well, he had to fix the air conditioning, but then he also had to fix the bathroom toilet because it kept clogging up.
Okay, so a toilet gets clogged up. To clog up. What does this mean?
So it means that something is blocking the way of, the water being able to go out.
So the water doesn't go down.
Right.
And sometimes if the toilet is really clogged and someone tries to flush the toilet again, the water comes onto the floor and it's very dirty and very gross.
That's right. So actually, maybe sometimes in the kitchen, pieces of food may fall into the sink and it may clog up the sink.
Okay, so to clog up means to block or to get in the way of.
That's right. And apart from the toilets being clogged up, he also may have to take a look at the circuit breakers.
All right, so this is not about water or about plumbing. Circuit breakers have to do with electricity. And in this case, that box in your apartment or near your apartment that controls the different circuits. So sometimes if the lights go out, pew,
Right.
You know that you have to check the circuit breaker and make sure that the circuits are all working properly.
That's right. So the circuit breakers are kind of like a protection from too much electricity, and that's why they go out. And now for our final word on language takeaway, something that also got clogged up at their office, we're talking about the gutters.
All right, so many people's houses have gutters, or sometimes an office building will have gutters. These are trays on the roof of a house or a building that will catch the water when it rains. Because, sometimes rainwater can be very, very heavy. And it's dangerous on your house, on the roof of your house, because it can hurt the roof. But if it comes into this gutter, into this little tray, then it will come down and fall on the ground. So these are a way to protect your roof. But these often get clogged up with leaves and with garbage.
That's right. So they're like small little ways or little roads, if you want to call them, where the water can go and escape and go into a specific place. We have them on the sides of roads as well many times.
So gutters you find on the ground. Sometimes you find them on the roof of a house, but those are a little bit different. The gutters on the ground are basically pathways for water to come down, because if there's no gutter, then all of the water is on the road and it can flood very quickly.
That's right.
And so this is a way for the water and even the garbage to go on the side of the road and not be in the way of the cars.
That's right. You see them on highways and roads very often because you don't want the road filled with water. So these gutters are a small path where all the water will fall into it and escape safely from the highway.
That's right.
All right, so that's all the time we have for language takeaway. Why don't we go back, have another listen to the dialogue, and we'll be back soon with Fluency Builder.
The air conditioning is not working. We need to call a handyman before we start to fry in here.
Dan is on top of that. I think they are also getting the handyman to fix the bathroom toilet that keeps clogging up.
That would be convenient. They might as well ask him to fix the electrical wiring. The circuit breakers keep going out all the time. It's really annoying.
Yeah, you're right. This office is falling apart. Frank told me the other day that the gutters outside were clogged, and that's why the parking lot was flooded.
I know. I was in ankle-deep water trying to get to my car that day. The handyman definitely has his work cut out for him.
Now let's take a look at 3 key phrases on Fluency Builder.
Fluency builder.
Well, this first phrase is a phrase that I like to use, and I do use it very often. We heard that Dan is on top of that. All right, so we need to call a handyman in here, and he says, nope, Dan is on top of that. So to
Okay.
be on top of something, what does it mean?
Well, when she says Dan is on top of that, she's basically saying Dan is taking care of this, or Dan is already calling the handyman to come and fix it. So you are aware of the problem and you're trying to solve it.
Okay, so don't worry. You don't have to call the handyman. Dan is on top of that. Dan will call him.
Right.
So to be on top of something is to make sure that something is done. So you could say, Marco, I hope you stay on top of that project because it's very important.
Right. Or don't worry, the report will be finished on time. I am on top of that.
Great.
All right, now moving on to our next phrase. They were talking about all the problems that this office has, and the person said, well, they might as well ask the handyman to also fix the electrical wiring.
Okay, so this phrase "might as well" it's kind of hard to understand, I think, sometimes. Basically, what the speaker is saying is that while he is doing this, he can also do something else. Mm-hmm. Okay, so he's here. He can fix many things. He might as well also fix the electrical wiring.
Right, so taking advantage of the fact that you are already doing something or you are already here, you can start doing something else as well.
Or maybe we could say this in a different context, like, we're going to order a pizza for lunch. You know what, Marco? Might as well order 2 because there are so many people here.
Right. So taking advantage of the fact that we are ordering pizza, we might as well get more for everyone. Okay, and for our last phrase, when they mentioned all the work that has to be done, they said the handyman definitely has his work cut out for him.
Okay, so if someone has his work cut out for him, it means that he has a lot of work to do.
That's right.
You can also say this to someone that you're talking to. So Marco's writing a book. And I say, hey, Marco, that's a really long book you're writing. It looks like you really have your work cut out for you.
That's right. Or maybe this project is really difficult. I really have my work cut out. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you're basically saying I have a very hard time ahead of me. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's all the phrases we have for you. Why don't we have a listen to our dialogue one last time?
The air conditioning is not working. We need to call a handyman before we start to fry in here.
Dan is on top of that. I think they are also getting the handyman to fix the bathroom toilet that keeps clogging up.
That would be convenient. They might as well ask him to fix the electrical wiring. The circuit breakers keep going out all the time. It's really annoying.
Yeah, you're right. This office is falling apart. Frank told me the other day that the gutters outside were clogged, and that's why the parking lot was flooded.
I know. I was in ankle-deep water trying to get to my car that day. The handyman definitely has his work cut out for him.
So a handyman is also commonly referred to as a jack of all trades.
That's right. So these are both kind of funny words. First of all, handy as an adjective means useful or helpful.
So maybe a hammer is a handy tool.
It's a very handy tool. Or, I find my iPhone has some very handy applications. I can use the dictionary.
Right.
So a handyman is someone who's helpful. He can do many things. But a jack of all trades is very special because it means he is a person that can do basically any job.
Right. So sometimes in offices, people may have someone that they may refer to as a jack of all trades. So he may fix the computers. He also knows a little bit about marketing and does many odd and random things around the office.
That's right. You could say my friend Paul, he's a jack of all trades. He can fix a car. He can cook. He can, fix a door or a window, but he can also sew. So he's a jack of all trades. He has many, many skills.
That's right. And talking about these skills, being a handyman is not a profession per se. It's actually a trade.
That's right. And so we say this because it's something that you normally do with your hands, and you don't have to go to university to study it. You maybe have an apprenticeship or you study by working. And it's one of a few very, very important trades like being a plumber or an electrician. But a handyman is more general. Like we said, you can do many different things.
That's right. So very interesting. There are many trades out there. Maybe you can come on the site and mention some of these that you may know. Like, for example, a very well-known trade is a cobbler, a person that
makes shoes, right?
Makes shoes or
It's a very
fixes
weird
shoes.
word, though, because shoes and cobbler don't seem to have much to do with each other. Yeah.
Well, many trades like this. I know before there used to be blacksmiths. Right? So many types of trades. And of course, if you have any other questions or doubts, you can visit our website, englishpod.com.
We hope to see you guys there. Bye. Everyone.
The English Pod Audio Review. Listen to the meaning, then say the vocabulary word.
Air conditioning. Handyman. On top of that. Clog up. Wiring. Fall apart. Gutter.
Let's try that faster.
Air conditioning. Gutter. On top of that. Clog up. Fall apart. Handyman. Wiring.
Now say the word and hear it in a sentence.
Handyman. My dad is a handyman. He can fix anything around the house. Handyman. The handyman came in yesterday to fix the leaking roof, and he also replaced the leaking faucet. Handyman. We should call in a handyman to fix the broken door and replace the broken window. On top of that. I have so much work this week. I have 2 separate projects due on Friday, a proposal to write, an interview to do, and on top of that, I have to make a presentation to my boss. On top of that. Sarah must be really stressed. She's taking classes at NYU, working 2 jobs, and on top of that, she still has to take care of her parents. On top of that. Kevin is so sweet. For our anniversary, he took me to a surprise dinner, gave me a bottle of my favorite perfume, and, on top of that, bought me 100 roses. The sink will clog up if you keep on dumping your food in there. The streets are clogged up with traffic every morning and evening. I am going to Walmart to buy something to fix that clogged drain. I am free any day of the week, so you can come in whenever it's convenient for you. Ever since they opened the new shopping mall down the street, it's become very convenient for me to buy clothes. Would it be convenient for you to pick up some bananas on the way home? If you're going to come to Shanghai, you might as well go see the expo. I am going to the convenience store, so I might as well get some dinner. Jennifer and Janice wear the same kinds of clothes, like the same bands, and even eat the same things. They might as well be twins.
Hello, English learners. Welcome back to another great lesson at English Pod. My name is Marco.
And my name's Erica.
And today we're going to be building something.
That's right. We've got a lesson about construction.
Cool. So we're going to be working at a construction site today, and we're going to learn a lot of cool vocabulary with different types of tools.
And we'll also learn some phrases that you can use to talk about work. So even if you're not really interested in building and making stuff out with your hands, you will learn some language to talk about work in general.
All right, so before we get started with this construction dialogue, let's take a look at vocabulary preview.
Vocabulary preview.
Well, Marco, we're going to look at two words now. And like you said, we're building something in this lesson, right?
Right, we're going to be building a deck.
A deck.
A deck.
All right, so a deck, what is that?
Basically, it's an elevated wooden platform that houses will have like in their backyards maybe.
So it's a platform that's a little bit higher off the ground behind your house.
So it's very popular for houses to have decks, and people will put out a table and chairs and maybe have lunch out there or
a
something.
Barbecue or something.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so a deck. Now they're building this deck and they need to follow some plans.
Plans. The plans that we're talking about are construction plans.
Yeah, it's kind of like the map for the deck, how you're going to build it.
Exactly. So we can have floor plans, for example.
So that shows you how the building looks, like where the different rooms are.
And like a house, right?
Yeah.
So it's basically the map for a construction.
Okay, great. So two interesting words. We're going to hear both of these in the dialogue. Now, why don't we get started and find out what's going to happen as they're building this deck?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we've been hired to build a deck on this here house and turn this boring and drab lawn into a backyard oasis. There is one catch, though. We've only got one day to finish this, so I'm going to need everyone to give 110% today. It's going to be tough, but we've got a great team here, and I know that together we can tackle this project. That being said, let's get to work.
That's right. Now, remember, we've been over the plans, but we really need to make sure that everything is up to code. The home inspectors here are pretty thorough, so please make sure you follow the plans exactly. And remember the carpenter's rule of thumb: measure twice, cut once.
Okay, guys, let's get at it. Bob, pass me that hammer. The nails won't go in. The wood is too hard. I think I'm going to need the nail gun. That did it.
Hey, do me a favor and help me cut this 2x4, will ya? Pass me that circle saw and grab hold of the end of the board. Now help me drill some holes in it so we can place the bolts.
I think you should sand the edges. Look at all these splinters. Someone could get hurt. Jeez, you gotta take pride in your work.
Yeah, you're right. Pass me the sander and I'll take care of it.
Julia, get over here with that level, measuring tape, and that box of screws.
Oh no! Look out below!
All right, so there are a lot of people building the deck. They have to build it fast. They've only got 1 day. So it's a really big challenge, huh?
Yeah, and I think this is a good lesson in maybe not rushing through important projects, right?
Exactly. So we saw some really interesting tools that they were using. So why don't we look at that first in Language Takeaway?
Language takeaway.
All right, so we got some language all about tools. So why don't we just get started? So they mentioned a nail gun.
Nail gun.
A nail gun.
So we all know about hammers and nails, right?
Right, so the nails are what you put in the wood.
Exactly. Now this is an advanced tool, so you don't have to use a hammer. It's kind of hard to explain, so why don't we listen to the sound this tool makes?
Well, I guess like its name suggests, it's a gun for putting nails in wood.
Yeah, it actually uses compressed air to push nails really fast into the wood.
All right. So they're nailing some pieces of wood together, but they also needed to cut the wood, and they said, help me cut the 2x4.
Yeah, she said, help me cut this 2x4.
So a 2x4.
This is a very popular type of wood that you use in construction. A 2x4 is basically 2 inches by 4 inches.
So 2 inches high and 4 inches wide.
So it's the most popular and common type of wood that you would use for construction, a 2x4. You'll hear it all the time.
So they're going to cut the 2x4, and C said, pass me the circular saw.
A circular saw.
A circular saw.
So a saw, we understand, is something you use to cut wood. But you have many types of saws. You have a band saw, you have a circular saw, and this one makes this sound.
So I guess it's called a circular saw because the blade or the cutting part is shaped in a circle.
Yeah, a circular saw.
So after they cut the piece of wood, one of the guys said, I think you should sand the edges.
To sand
To
something.
sand something.
All right, so if you want to sand usually a piece of wood, you want to use paper covered in sand to make it very smooth.
Yeah, exactly. And so they also mentioned a sander, right?
A sander is basically a machine that has this sandpaper on it and will do the hard work for you.
All right, so to sand something and a sander.
Now our next word is very related to sanding something, because if you don't sand a piece of wood, it might have splinters.
Splinters.
Splinter.
Splinters.
So like I said, if you cut a piece of wood, there are little pieces of wood that stick out and you can get hurt. They can get under your skin.
Yeah, so tiny, tiny parts of wood.
That's called a splinter.
A splinter. Okay, so why don't we go on to our next tool? They were talking about a level.
A level.
The level.
All right, so this is a tool that all carpenters have. And it's basically a tool that has a little bit of water in it, right?
Yeah, and it helps you make sure that everything is straight and flat.
Exactly, so that's a level. Every carpenter has it. And also a measuring tape.
A measuring tape.
Measuring tape.
Now, I'm sure if this was a video podcast, we could show you what a measuring tape was and you'd really understand it, but we'll do our best to describe it for you. So a measuring tape is like a ruler that rolls up.
Yeah, it's a very convenient ruler because it can roll up and you can measure something that is maybe 6 feet or 3 meters long, and you can extend it, and when you're done measuring, you can put it back and just put it in your pocket.
Yeah, every carpenter has one.
A measuring tape.
All right, so that's our last tool that we're going to talk about. So why don't we move on now to Fluency Builder, where we've got some phrases that you can use to talk about work.
Fluency builder.
So when the contractor started giving them instructions, he said, I need everyone to give 110% today.
To give 110%.
So when you give 110%, you are basically trying very hard.
Yeah, you give everything you have to your job.
Right. So it's not only 100%, it's 110, more than what's needed.
So no lunch break.
Exactly. So as they were talking about the instructions, one of the guys said, the carpenter's rule of thumb.
A rule of thumb.
So this is an interesting phrase, rule of thumb. What does that mean exactly?
Okay, well, you know what? I think we can understand the meaning pretty clearly if we listen to some examples.
Example 1.
The rule of thumb in making a sale is confidence. Without confidence, you don't make a sale.
Example 2.
The tailor's rule of thumb is twice the circumference of the wrist is the circumference of the neck.
Example 3.
You don't have to take everything I say about marketing as a rule of thumb.
One of the guys noticed a few problems, the splinters, and he said, you've got to take pride in your work.
Okay, so to take pride in your work.
To take pride in your work.
Why did he say that to her? What is he trying to tell her?
Well, because she made some mistakes, she didn't do such a good job. He's wanting her to work harder, work better, work more carefully.
Okay, and so she can be proud of her work and say, this is a job well done.
So when you take pride in your work, you work so well and do such a good job that you feel really happy about it.
All right, good. So why don't we listen to this dialogue again for the last time, and then we'll come back and talk about construction.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we've been hired to build a deck on this here house and turn this boring and drab lawn into a backyard oasis. There is one catch, though. We've only got 1 day to finish this, so I'm going to need everyone to give 110% today. It's going to be tough, but we've got a great team here, and I know that together we can tackle this project. That being said, let's get to work.
That's right. Now, remember, we've been over the plans, but we really need to make sure that everything is up to code. The home inspectors here are pretty thorough, so please make sure you follow the plans exactly. And remember the carpenter's rule of thumb: measure twice, cut once.
Okay, guys, let's get at it. Bob, pass me that hammer. The nails won't go in. The wood is too hard. I think I'm gonna need the nail gun. That did it.
Hey, do me a favor and help me cut this 2x4, will ya? Pass me that circle saw and grab hold of the end of the board. Now help me drill some holes in it so we can place the bolts.
I think you should sand the edges. Look at all these splinters. Someone could get hurt. Jeez, you gotta take pride in your work.
Yeah, you're right. Pass me the sander and I'll take care of it.
Julia, get over here with that level, measuring tape, and that box of screws.
Oh no! Look out below!
So an interesting aspect of North American culture is projects like this, right? Building a deck or maybe adding a room to your house.
Yeah, that's right. And we call this DIY.
Right, DIY, do it yourself. Mm-hmm. So it's a very popular summer project, right?
Right. So if you live in a neighborhood in North America, you might see the dad of a family outside building something, and all his friends come over and they drink beer and build this big thing together.
Right. So it could be a tree house, it could be a deck. It could even maybe be adding another room to the house.
Yeah, and it's so popular that there are tons of TV shows about how to build stuff for your house, and there are a lot of really big stores where you can go and find all of this equipment for building stuff for your house.
Right, so basically there are these big stores where you can get anything from paint to wood to tools, huge amount of material, so you can do it yourself.
Mm-hmm. You can DIY.
All right, so that's all the time we have for today, but let us know what you think and tell us if you are into doing handiwork like this, like maybe building a tree house or building a deck.
That's right.
The English Pod Audio Review. Listen to the meaning, then say the vocabulary word. A circular saw mounted under a table or bench so that large pieces of wood could be cut.
Table saw.
To try your best.
To give 110%.
A decorative strip used for ornamentation or finishing on the edges of a wall.
Molding.
A piece of wood that is 2 inches thick and 4 inches wide.
2x4.
A wall or ceiling constructed of a prefabricated material, such as plasterboard or paneling.
Drywall.
Let your effort be a reflection of your skill.
Take pride in your work.
A person or firm that supplies materials or labor for other companies.
Contractor.
Set of actions to complete a task.
Plans.
A person who makes or repairs wooden structures.
Carpenter.
A tool used to measure how long something is.
Measuring tape.
Let's try that faster. Let your effort be a reflection of your skill.
Take pride in your work.
A circular saw mounted under a table or bench so that large pieces of wood could be cut.
Table saw.
A piece of wood that is 2 inches thick and 4 inches wide.
2x4.
To try your best.
To give 110%.
A decorative strip used for ornamentation or finishing on the edges of a wall.
Molding.
A tool used to measure how long something is.
Measuring tape.
Set of actions to complete a task.
Plans.
A person or firm that supplies materials or labor for other companies.
Contractor.
A wall or ceiling constructed of a prefabricated material, such as plasterboard or paneling.
Drywall.
A person who makes or repairs wooden structures.
Carpenter.
Now say the word and hear it in a sentence.
To give 110%. It's not enough to try your best. You have to give 110% if you want to be successful. To give 110%. We really have to give 110% today if we want to finish this project on time. To give 110%. Good job, team. You really gave 110% out there today. 2x4. We need another 2x4 to finish this deck. 2x4. I can't come to work today because a 2x4 fell from my roof and hit me on the head. 2x4. Did you see that? That wrestler pulled out a 2x4 and broke it on the other guy's back. Take pride in your work. When you take pride in your work, you will start to enjoy it more and may even want to learn more to improve yourself. Take pride in your work. I respect Jim a lot because he really takes pride in his work and is very dedicated. Take pride in your work. How can I take pride in my work if I don't enjoy what I'm doing? Plans. Carl, I need the kitchen plans today so I can start putting up the kitchen cabinets. Plans. These floor plans are in Chinese. We need to get them translated before we start construction. Plans. Our architect isn't done drawing our floor plans, but I'm sure the house is going to look great. Measuring tape. This measuring tape is in inches. I need one that has centimeters on it. Measuring tape. Measuring tapes were originally used by tailors and dressmakers. Measuring tape. Check out my new digital measuring tape. All I have to do is point at an object and it will tell me how far away it is.
In today's story, we'll uncover 5 powerful lessons about managing money. Lessons you might not learn in school but are crucial for achieving financial success. As we dive into Sam's journey, we'll also learn some new words and see how to use them in sentences. This will help us practice English in a fun and easy way. So, stay with us till the end. Once upon a time, in a bustling little town, there lived a 27-year-old man named Sam. One afternoon, he sat on the side of the road, lost in thought. Despite working hard for 5 years, his life hadn't improved. Sam wondered if there was a way to escape poverty and achieve true wealth. As he strolled by a grand mansion, something compelled him to step past the tall iron gate without permission. Little did he know, this daring act would lead him to a life-changing lesson about money. From afar, he saw an elderly man sitting on a garden bench with a cup of coffee in hand. This man was Mr. Hayes, the mansion's owner, a wealthy but humble and generous soul. Sam approached him, politely apologizing. "I'm sorry for entering without permission, Mr. Hayes." Recognizing Sam, Mr. Hayes was surprised by his sudden visit but welcomed him kindly, curious to know why he had come. Sam took a seat beside Mr. Hayes and began, "Sir, I've worked for 5 years, earning a decent wage, yet my life hasn't changed. I don't splurge, but I just can't seem to get ahead. Do you have any advice on how someone like me could become wealthy?" With a warm smile, Mr. Hayes replied, "Anyone can achieve wealth, Sam, including you." He continued, "I'll share 5 principles about money that you won't learn in school. Follow these carefully, and I assure you, you'll find yourself on the path to financial success." Eagerly, Sam listened as Mr. Hayes began. "The first rule," Mr. Hayes said, "is to spend less than you earn. This is the foundation. If you don't master this, you can't move on to the other steps. For example, if you make $5,000 a month, set aside at least $2,000. If it's $3,000, save $1,000. Avoid expenses that exceed your income, whether loans or gambling. Even with a 6-figure salary, without this rule, you'll remain in debt." Sam nodded thoughtfully, absorbing each word. Mr. Hayes took a calm sip of his coffee and continued. "The second rule is to have an emergency fund. Life is unpredictable. Car repairs, a leaky roof, or even layoffs can happen at any time. Without an emergency fund, you're forced to borrow or sell assets at a loss, which restricts your options and adds stress. Think of it as your safety net, protecting your finances when unexpected events arise." Sam nodded again, appreciating the wisdom in this approach. Let's get to the third lesson, which is investing. Now, people like you might feel unsure about investing in a business or stock since you may not have much knowledge. So, the best investment you can make right now is in yourself. Curious, Sam asked. "How, sir?" Mr. Hayes continued, "Take your skill set, whether it's carpentry, plumbing, or customer service. Invest your time, energy, and money into mastering it further. Learn where your boss sources materials or explore ways to market your services better. Use some of your savings to improve your expertise, attend courses, buy tools, or read relevant books." Realizing the value of these words, Sam looked at Mr. Hayes with newfound determination, regretting he hadn't learned this sooner. Mr. Hayes continued with the fourth lesson. Now that you're gaining skills, it's time to start earning more. Once you've honed your abilities, maybe you'll start your own business and your income will grow. You're no longer paid per hour but earn based on what you produce. The harder you work, the more you earn. The sky was getting darker, yet Sam felt no urge to leave. He was eager to learn the final principle. Mr. Hayes looked at him and said, "And finally, the fifth lesson, create passive income. When you've applied the first four principles, you should have extra money. Now, it's time to let your money work for you. You can invest in property, start a rental business, buy a franchise, or research other sources of passive income. Think carefully and choose wisely. How about it, Sam? Are you ready to take on these lessons?" Mr. Hayes asked, ending the conversation with a gentle smile. Brimming with excitement, Sam replied, "I used to just go to work, save a little, and hope for wealth to come my way. But I now understand that there's a real strategy, and I'm thankful, sir, for the invaluable guidance." Today we learned new words and sentences through this story about wealth and financial wisdom. Remember, learning English can be fun when you practice regularly. So, keep listening, learning, and growing. Make sure to like, comment, and share how this story helped you improve your English. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next story, where we'll continue learning together.
The English Pod Audio Review. Listen to the meaning, then say the vocabulary word.
Something is usual or expected. Norm. The money that a country uses. Currency. The sum of money required to reinstate. Margin deposit. Taking effect rapidly. Drastically. Very quickly. Just a second. Split second. An offer to pay a particular amount of money. Bid.
Let's try that faster.
The sum of money required to reinstate. Margin deposit. Something is usual or expected. Norm. Very quickly. Just a second. Split second. An offer to pay a particular amount of money. Bid. Taking effect rapidly. Drastically. The money that a country uses. Currency.
Now say the word and hear it in a sentence.
Norm. What's the norm in this company concerning protocol? Norm. This is the norm, so you'd better get used to it. Norm. Delivery, McDonald's, and street vendors are the norms around here. Currency. Before I went to France, I had to change some of my Canadian currency into euros. Currency. What's the currency in this country? Currency. My country's currency is worth next to nothing in USD. Margin deposit. He decided to start with a margin deposit of GBP 100. Margin deposit. I can't believe that I can trade with USD 1 million deposit when I've only put in a margin deposit of USD 10,000. Margin deposit. One has to be careful with trading using a margin deposit because the risk of losing more money than one has are high. Split second. The gang members were closing in on me fast, so I made a split-second decision to run instead of fight. Split second. My heart pounded as I made a split-second decision and took hold of her hand. Split second. My split-second decision to try a trick on my bicycle in order to impress my friends didn't end well. Bid. The current bid ask for EUR USD is 1.3998-79. Bid. I bought euros at an ask of $1.4235 and sold British pounds at a bid of $1.5001. Bid. The bid for Japanese yen and the ask for Hong Kong dollars are really good right now if you trade in US currency.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really digging into how we build things. And I mean that in a couple ways, like actually building physical stuff with your hands, but also building, financial security.
Right, building a foundation for success.
Exactly. So for this deep dive, we've got sources from two, pretty different places on the surface.
Yeah.
Yeah. First, some clips from a YouTube podcast talking about construction, tools, work freezes, that sort of thing.
Okay.
And then we have this really great story about the basic principles for getting smarter about money and building wealth.
Interesting mix. So our job here is basically to pull out the key takeaways, the real nuggets of wisdom from both.
Yeah, give you a kind of shortcut to understanding some pretty fundamental life skills.
And I think what's really powerful is seeing the connections, right, between physically constructing something and, say, strategically constructing your finances. There are these surprising parallels in how we approach things.
Definitely. So let's start on that construction site. Our YouTube source takes us there. Imagine a team building a deck.
Okay, a deck. So like an outdoor wooden platform.
Exactly. Usually in the backyard. Great for having lunch outside, barbecues, really popular.
Got it. Classic backyard edition.
And the first thing they talk about, which is crucial for any project like this, is the plans.
Ah, yes, the plans. Absolutely essential. They're basically the map, right?
Totally. Like floor plans for a house, they show you exactly how it should look, where everything goes. They guide the whole process.
You can't really build properly without them. It stops you from making big, expensive mistakes later on.
And the pressure is really on in this scenario. The dialogue says the team has only got one day to finish this.
Wow, one day. That's intense.
Yeah, so they say everyone has to give 110%.
Okay, so pulling out all the stops, that raises a good question, though. How do you keep things accurate when you're rushing like that?
Well, the source highlights a few key rules they mention on site. First, everything has to be up to code.
Right, those building regulations. Home inspectors are famously thorough about that stuff.
Exactly. Second, you follow the plans. Exactly. No winging it.
Stick to the script.
And third, that old carpenter's saying, measure twice, cut once.
Can't emphasize that enough. It's not just about saving wood, although that's part of it. It's about the whole mindset, Precision. Avoiding problems down the line.
Speaking of precision and tools, the source gives us some good vocab. Let's talk about the nail gun.
Yeah. Big time saver.
Totally. Uses compressed air, dries nails super fast, especially into hardwood where a hammer might struggle. It's pretty advanced compared to just hammering.
Definitely speeds things up.
Then there's the 2x4. You hear that all the time.
The standard piece of lumber, yeah. Though, it's funny, it's not actually 2 inches by 4 inches usually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, after it's milled and finished, it's usually closer to like 1.5 by 3.5 inches. Knowing those little details matters in building.
Good point. Okay. And for cutting that wood, a circular saw.
Right. That specific type of saw with the round blade makes that distinctive whirring sound. Great for straight cuts.
And after cutting, you often need to sand it, right? Make it smooth.
Exactly. You use sandpaper or often a power tool, a sander, which just has sandpaper attached and does the work faster.
Why is that so important? Just looks?
Well, looks partly, but also safety. Cut wood can have splinters.
Ouch, yeah. Those tiny bits that stick out.
Exactly. They can get under your skin. Sanding smooths those down, prevents injuries.
Makes sense. And to make sure everything's straight, you need a level.
Oh, absolutely indispensable. That tool with a little bubble in the liquid tells you if a surface is perfectly horizontal or vertical. Crucial for making sure walls are straight, floors are flat, the whole structure is sound.
And for measuring everything in the first place, especially longer distances, the measuring tape.
Can't build without one. So simple, but brilliant. Rolls up, fits in your pocket, measures 6 feet, 3 meters, whatever you need. Super convenient.
So beyond the actual tools, the source also pulls out some great phrases, these fluency builders, that apply more broadly to work, like that give 110%.
Right. That's not just saying work hard. It implies like absolute maximum effort, going above and beyond, maybe even skipping your lunch break, total commitment to get the job done under pressure.
It really paints a picture. And what about rule of thumb?
Yeah, that's a good one. It means like a general principle or a practical guideline, not a strict, unbreakable rule.
Like the examples they gave. Confidence for sales, or a tailor using your wrist size to estimate neck size.
Exactly. It's based on experience, gives you a quick way to estimate or make a decision. It's useful, but you also know it might not apply perfectly in every single case. It's flexible.
Got it. And the last one, to take pride in your work.
That's about more than just finishing. It's that internal motivation, right? Wanting to do a really good job, being careful, being diligent.
So you actually feel good about the result.
Precisely. You step back, look at what you've made or done, and feel genuinely proud. It's about craftsmanship, that personal investment in quality.
That feeling of accomplishment, building something yourself. The source mentions this DIY or do-it-yourself culture, especially in North America.
Oh, yeah, that's huge. Building a deck, adding a room. It's a really common thing for people to tackle themselves, especially in summer.
It can even be kind of a social thing, right? Friends helping out.
Definitely. And it's not just about maybe saving some money. It's empowering, figuring things out, solving problems. There's a whole ethos around it.
You see it everywhere, those DIY shows on TV, the giant home improvement stores.
Yeah, those massive places that sell everything from paint and lumber to every tool imaginable. They cater specifically to that DIY spirit.
It's interesting. That drive to build, to be self-reliant, it connects really well to our second source, which is all about building financial stability.
Okay. Shifting gears to money.
Yeah. This source tells the story of Sam. He's 27, works hard, earns okay money, but after 5 years, he feels stuck, basically trapped in poverty, and wants out.
A familiar story for many, unfortunately.
So he ends up meeting this guy, Mr. Hayes. He's wealthy, lives in a mansion, but he's also really humble and generous.
Okay. And Mr. Hayes has some advice.
He makes this big promise to Sam. He says anyone can achieve wealth, and he's going to share 5 key principles about money. Stuff you usually don't learn in school.
The secrets they don't teach you, huh?
Kinda, yeah. He assures Sam if he follows these carefully, he'll find financial success. It really makes you wonder, what are these fundamentals we might be missing?
All right, I'm listening. What's the first one?
Mr. Hayes calls it the absolute foundation. You have to master this first. It's super simple, but maybe not easy. Spend less than you earn.
The bedrock. Sounds obvious, but so many people struggle with it.
Right. He gives examples. Make $5,000 a month, you should aim to save at least $2,000. Make $3,000, save $1,000.
So consciously creating a gap between income and expenses.
Exactly. And he warns specifically against things that push your expenses over your income loans. Gambling. He says even if you make 6 figures, you'll end up in debt if you don't follow this rule.
It's about discipline, isn't it? Resisting that urge to spend everything or even more than you make. Living within your means, essentially.
Totally. And that discipline leads right into principle number 2. Have an emergency fund.
The safety net. Crucial.
Yeah. He talks about it as a buffer for life surprises. The car breaks down, the roof leaks, maybe you even get laid off. Stuff happens.
And having that fund means you don't have to panic.
Exactly. You don't have to borrow money, probably at high interest, or worse, sell off investments or assets when the market's down just to cover the emergency.
It gives you options, protects you financial stability when things go wrong, like building code for your finances in a way, protects against collapse.
That's a great analogy. Okay, principle 3 connects back beautifully to our construction talk about skills. Invest in yourself.
Okay, I like the sound of that. What does he mean?
Mr. Hayes says this is the best investment you can possibly make, especially if you're not sure about stocks or starting a business yet.
So how do you invest in yourself?
You take whatever skills you already have, your skill set. Maybe it's carpentry, like we talked about, or plumbing, or maybe it's customer service, writing, whatever. And you actively invest your time, your energy, maybe some of the money you're saving into getting better at it, mastering it.
So learning more, practicing, refining.
Yeah. The source gives examples like find out where your boss gets materials, figure out how to market your services better, use some savings for courses, tools, books related to your field.
It's about increasing your own value, basically, your earning potential.
Exactly. It's an investment in your personal capacity, and the return on that can be huge.
Which leads nicely into the 4th principle, I imagine.
It does. Start earning more.
Okay, makes sense. Once you're more skilled.
Right. Once you've invested in yourself and honed those abilities, Mr. Hayes suggests this can often lead to starting your own business or finding ways to increase your income based on those improved skills.
Ah, so leveraging that investment.
Yeah. And the key shift here is how you're paid. You're moving away from just getting paid per hour. Instead, your income becomes earned based on what you produce.
So the more value you create, the more you potentially earn.
That's the idea. Harder work, smarter work with your better skills directly translates to more income. It puts you more in control.
Okay, 4 principles down. What's the last one?
The 5th one comes after you've put the first 4 into practice and hopefully you have some extra money consistently coming in. It's create passive income.
The holy grail for many. Letting your money work for you.
That's the core concept. Your wealth starts generating more wealth, ideally without you having to actively work for it hour by hour.
What kind of examples does the source give?
Things like investing in property to rent out, maybe starting a rental business, buying into a franchise, or just researching other ways to generate income streams that aren't directly tied to your time.
So building systems that bring in money over time increases your financial resilience, frees you up. Like a well-built house provides ongoing shelter.
Exactly. It's the long-term goal for financial freedom for many.
It's fascinating. When you lay it all out, whether you're, physically screwing together a deck or you're carefully building up your finances, the underlying themes are so similar. It really comes down to having good information, the knowledge, putting in the effort, the diligence, and thinking critically about what you're doing.
Like having a plan, whether it's blueprints or a budget.
Exactly. Understanding your tools, whether that's a circular saw or an emergency fund, and taking pride in the process, aiming for quality and stability.
The foundation you build, literally or financially, really dictates how strong the final result is.
Absolutely. The strength today determines the success tomorrow.
So, thinking about all this, for you listening, maybe consider those parallels, that solid up-to-code foundation for a building. Isn't that like the spend less than you earn rule for your money?
Yeah.
Both prevent sort of structural collapse later on.
Good comparison.
Or the precision needed for measure twice, cut once. It's like the careful planning you need before you invest your time or your money into something new.
Right. Avoid costly mistakes.
And that idea of constantly investing in yourself, it works whether you're learning to use a new tool better or learning about different ways to make your money grow. So here's something to think about. What practical skill, or maybe what financial principle, are you going to choose to build on next? What step will you take to strengthen your own foundation?
All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to do something a little different. We're going to connect two worlds that seem miles apart. The hands-on, get your hands dirty world of a construction site, and the, let's be honest, often confusing world of personal finance. We're building a blueprint for success, and I think you'll be surprised by how much they have in common.
So, let's start with the big question right up front. What on earth does building a deck have to do with building your wealth? I know, it sounds kind of random, right? But stick with me, because the answer reveals this really powerful framework for success in almost any part of your life. So picture this. You've got a construction crew, and they're standing on this drab, boring lawn. Their mission? To turn this patch of grass into a beautiful backyard oasis by building a brand new deck. But here's the catch. They've only got one day to do it. The pressure is absolutely on.
Yeah, that's the call from the contractor. To pull something like this off against the clock, it's not enough to just show up and do the job. Everyone has to bring their A game and then some.
So how do you actually succeed when the stakes are that high? Well, it's not just about trying hard. You need the right tools for the job. And I mean both the physical tools and the right mindset. So let's crack open the Carpenter's Toolkit and see what it really takes to build something great. The most important tool of all? The plans. These are the map for the entire project. Every measurement, every cut, every single placement is laid out right there. And they have to be followed exactly. This isn't a wing it and see kind of situation. This is how you make sure the deck is up to code and built to last. And then, of course, you've got the actual power tools. You've got the nail gun for speed and power, the circular saw for those perfectly precise cuts, the level, which is crucial for making sure everything is stable and straight, and the good old measuring tape for accuracy. Each tool has a very specific, very important job. And this brings us to the golden rule of carpentry, a mindset that goes way beyond just wood. Measure twice, cut once. It's all about preparation, right? Taking that extra second to double-check your work is what prevents those costly, time-wasting mistakes. It's about being deliberate. But you know, even with the best plans and all the fancy tools, it's your attitude that makes the real difference. In our story, one of the workers gets told to sand down some splinters. It's a tiny detail, but it speaks volumes. It shows that quality matters. It's about taking pride in what you're creating. Okay, so we've seen what it takes to build a deck in a single day. You need plans, tools, and pride. But let's just hit pause for a moment. What if the most important project you ever work on isn't something you can see or touch? And this is where it all comes together. This is where the two worlds connect. Because every single principle we just talked about, planning, precision, pride, they are the exact same ones you need to build a secure financial future. Which brings us to our case study, building financial freedom. Let's meet the people involved. So let's talk about Sam. He's 27, he works incredibly hard, but he feels totally stuck, like he's just spinning his wheels financially. Then he meets a wealthy mentor, Mr. Hayes, and Sam does something really smart. He doesn't just ask for tips, he asks for the plans, the blueprint. He gets that success requires a strategy, just like those deck builders. Now, Mr. Hayes doesn't give him some get-rich-quick scheme. Now, instead, he gives Sam a totally different kind of toolkit. This one isn't filled with saws and hammers, but with 5 powerful core principles for building real, lasting financial success. So here's the toolkit Mr. Hayes shares. The absolute foundation, Principle 1, is spend less than you earn. From there, you create stability with Principle 2, have an emergency fund. Then you improve the quality of your work with number 3, invest in yourself. After that, you expand the whole project with number 4, earn more. And finally, you make the project work for you with Principle 5, create passive income. And here is where it all just clicks into place. Following the plans exactly, that's the same as spend less than you earn. It's the non-negotiable first rule. Measure twice, cut once. That's just a different way of saying have a careful financial strategy. And taking pride in your work, well, that's invest in yourself, isn't it? Becoming the best you can be. Let's break it down even further. Those construction plans, that's your financial strategy. It's your blueprint. A carpenter's level, the thing that ensures stability, that's your emergency fund, keeping you on solid ground when life gets shaky. And a sander, used to smooth out the rough edges and perfect the final product, that's investing in yourself, honing your skills to increase your value. Mr. Hayes leaves Sam with this really powerful message. He says wealth isn't about luck or some big secret. It's about having the right plans and the right tools. And the cool part is, anyone can learn how to use them. So here's the ultimate takeaway. It doesn't matter if you're building a deck or a business or just a better life. The principles are the same. Success is never an accident. It's the result of having a clear plan, the right tools, and the dedication to see it all the way through with pride. And that brings us right to the end. The plans and the tools are out there for pretty much anything you want to achieve. So the only real question left is the one on your screen right now. What are you building?